Hey, Father Michael here. Today I'm thinking of the book of James, chapter 1, verses 2 through 4. Whenever you face trials of any kind, consider it nothing but joy, because you know that the testing of your faith produces endurance. And let endurance have its full effect, so that you might be mature and complete, lacking in nothing. Face the trials with nothing but joy. Yeah, progress, not perfection here. When I was a gym rat, over a 15-year period, basically, I was basically in the gym 7 days a week, even on my so-called rest days. I had a 50-inch chest and 17.5-inch biceps, and I was probably, to all appearances anyway, in the best physical health of my life. In that process, however, I had torn both rotator cuffs, blown my ACL, torn my meniscus to the point of extreme pain, but I just kept going. Well, fast forward a few years, and I could no longer continue my outdoor running without serious pain. I couldn't even lift my right hand above my shoulder because of that rotator cuff incident and the fact that the bone had somehow deformed or something. So I had that shoulder repaired. I had the knee fixed twice. And I was told, okay, everything is back, has been reset to the way it used to be, which actually was not the case. I still can't run without a lot of pain. And now it's the left shoulder that is a struggle some days, but I am postponing that surgery perhaps forever, because I don't want to have to go through that again. Before the summer of 2016, which I now half-jokingly refer to as my super spectacular summer of surgeries, I was in a significant amount of chronic pain, and I realize this is TMI for this hour, but here's the deal. I had something going on with my prostate so that I could not completely empty my bladder. I could get mostly empty, which sounds humorous, but actually is quite painful. I was still teaching, and I would intentionally wait until I knew that nobody else was going to be in the staff men's room, because it was not unusual for me to be doing my business or trying to do my business, and I would groan in pain or a little scream would come out of my mouth. I couldn't help it. So I tried to avoid those times when other teachers might be in there, because otherwise they were either going to think I was crazy or perhaps infested with every STD known to humankind. It was in the dealing with that chronic discomfort from arthritis in my left hip, which I broke when I was 14. I got stuff, in other words. We all do. But dang it, I am not going to become that whiny, crusty old guy with that long list of physical ailments to spew every time somebody makes the mistake of saying, "Hey, how are you?" I'm not going to be that guy. Whenever you face trials of any kind, consider it nothing but joy. Well, that's hard to do when you are a 20-year-old being told that you now have arthritis in your hip and that it is not going to get better, it is going to get worse over time. I remember coming home from my first son had just been born, and I thought, oh my God. It was devastating at first. How could this be happening to me? How was I going to continue to live my best life with this potential physical limitation and annoyance lurking all the while? And when I realized later that my ortho doctor was completely mistaken about being able to return to doing everything as I had before, man, I was pissed. I was resentful. I had nothing good to say about him for a couple of years. I could not, as he had promised, return to life as normal. I could not fall back on my previous level of physical and athletic exertion. And I even gained 20 pounds, which did not help my attitude. But there was a bigger picture that I always overlooked, and I still have that tendency. I was always focused on the many strengths and victories and all of that I had been given. And I was so absorbed and preoccupied with what was missing instead of what remained. In other words, I was focusing on the gifts and not on the gift giver. So here I am on the verge of Medicare, feeling pretty good for all of that long list of little bitches that I have. I still have that arthritis in my hip since I was 14. Sometimes I can't sleep on that side. Oh well. My left shoulder is sore right now because yesterday I decided to move the last giant pieces of furniture and stuff into the new place by myself. No, I couldn't wait. Couldn't wait for help. But it's going to be okay. I have a strong mind now and a determined will. And the big difference is I choose to stay in the positive as best I can. Because here's one thing I have learned as an old, crusty person. Real joy and satisfaction in this life has nothing to do with what I cannot do. It's all about what I can do today. Life is a struggle. You already know that. Seemingly devastating circumstances and tragedies and loss and limitations and addictions of various kinds can, in fact, for all of their terrible negative power, they can, in fact, be our surest way forward in our lifelong project of recreating ourselves again and again and again. Progress, not perfection. I said that earlier. The perfection we're never going to see. The progress, that's a choice. So instead of focusing on the negatives, which, to be fair, the older and crustier one gets, the longer that list may or may not be becoming. Despite that, I choose to celebrate and work within the parameters of what I can do. I can still listen attentively and actively. I can still support people and challenge them and call them out on their BS sometimes. I can be with someone, whether they need to laugh or if they need a shoulder to cry on. significantly. I can completely empty my bladder without moaning or screaming in public restrooms. And that's a win for everybody. Let's pray. Giver of every gift, loving Abba God, we open our hearts and minds to your divine healing presence in this moment, grateful for all of the talents and gifts and insights with which you have graced us. Thank you for the gifts we have never acknowledged. Thank you as well for allowing the limitations and struggles of this life to teach us, to inform our conscience, to help us build a stronger connection in our faith and a more determined sense of purpose in this life. Today, if we are facing challenging or devastating circumstances and loss, if we are feeling the weight of our limitations or our addictions, help us instead to choose to celebrate, to listen attentively to your word, and to be actively working just for today on being the next best version of who you want us to become. For all of this life, the laughter and the tears, we thank you.